Because here's another thing I've observed about this committee, especially the ones that like to speak in very harsh and mean tones to us. It never seems to run out of energy. It's the committee that never sleeps. I swear, those committee members have a direct IV hooked up to Starbucks, you know. And they love to jump forward and start yelling at us at 2 in the morning. Have you noticed? Like, when are you going to take care of that? When are you going to get your act together? That is just the most horrific problem, and you are just doing nothing about it. How can you feel the least bit peaceful right now? Get out of bed. I don't care what time it is. I just want to sleep, please. Now, here is the really, really interesting and important thing I want you to know about the committee, is that even these degrading voices, even these scolding voices in our heads, really have our best interest at heart. I know it doesn't seem that way. You know, that's not the way I want someone to be looking out for me. But if our core teaching of Science of Mind, that we say God is everywhere present, then somehow God's love, God's goodness has to be at the core of even these harsh committee members. And here's the way I reconcile that. You know, like, how could that be a good and loving thing? Every moment, we have a desire to feel good, right? Has there ever been a time in your life that you didn't want to be well, to be happy, to feel fulfilled? Every moment of our lives, we have that desire. And that is the will of God, the goodness of God in us, seeking an outer expression of itself through us. But where that impulse to feel good is met by some kind of fear-based thought about how we are separate from God, how we are not enough, how there isn't enough, then that gives rise to a belief and a voice that says, you can't have that. You want that, but you can't have that. And if you go for that, you're going to be disappointed. So don't go for that. See, it still wants us to feel okay. It doesn't want us to be disappointed. Or, you need to change. You need to be more like that, because then you'll be lovable. But right now, you're just awful, so get your act together and start changing. It still wants us to feel good. It wants us to be lovable. You know, so it's important for us to recognize that there's something good behind these negative thoughts and feelings, that we need to go look deeper for what is the greater good that they're trying to reveal to us. But, you know, I've had to ask this question, that if this committee is for my greater good, why do they have to sound so harsh? Couldn't they show up in a little bit more friendly way? And what I realized when I thought about this is that, you know, when we came into this world, we were completely dependent on our caretakers for our survival, for our well-being, for our love in this world. And when there were times when we were not behaving in a way that they thought we needed to behave, it was very threatening to us. So any scolding we got, you know, really got our attention, like, I'm not going to be loved, I'm not going to be cared for unless I listen to this voice. And when we adjusted in a way that they approved of, suddenly we were back in the good graces, and we were back aligned with our core nature of love and feeling good. And so we adopted those scolding voices. We feel like we need that kind of scolding voice to keep us on track. It's just something that we learned very young. But it doesn't have to be that way. It really doesn't have to be that way. And the unfortunate thing is that even though these voices may be for something good, trying to get us on track for greater good, when the voice is harsh and degrading and really mean, do we really want to face it and dialogue with it and come to understand it? Of course not. You know, Pema Chodron, the Buddhist nun, speaks about how when fear arises, and you know, these committee members that are speaking harshly are coming from that place of fear, our impulse, because it's uncomfortable and we want to always feel good, is to avoid it. So we either go about that by distracting ourselves and getting really busy in all kinds of different ways, and not necessarily in things that are particularly productive, but we just don't want to pay attention to the voice, or we get kind of paralyzed by it. and we just back off and just try to find a way to escape it and avoid it and numb ourselves out. Suddenly chocolate's coming to mind.